Welcome to our TBO4 webinar today on our supply chain solution to go through our WMS and TMS with Acumatica. Rick Group started in 2001 and we have a background of retail where we learned about the GS1 barcodes early on, and we've now put that into distribution and manufacturing, where we see the trend now going into 3D, and we'll go through that with our solution. We have sites all over the world. We've a distributor over the last couple of years called Lympho Systems in the US, and we're starting to build momentum into the Latin America market. Our solution is browser-based, and it's a loosely coupled technology with Acumatica, meaning it's not embedded. So we get all the advantages of a multi-cloud world being a loosely coupled solution. We also have our REST API for integration, and TBO4 is on Azure, and we have certain security there with tokens and OAuth. You can see all the WMS and TMS solutions. Today's webinar will be focused on receiving and moving pallets and doing this, and then also loading this onto the truck as well. So you get the full webinar of moving pallets in, and then moving pallets around the warehouse, and then moving pallets onto the truck. And we'll do a little bit about route history as well. Here's our screen for Pick Pack Manager, and we'll go through this where we release orders. And this is our control mechanism to release in batches or zones. And there's certain rules we can set up when we're releasing orders, such as which users it goes to, what priority, and things like that. During our picking, you'll be able to see that there's color codes there, green meaning it's fully picked and yellow meaning partially picked. Red will mean that there's an error or a pick line issue. You've got the ability to take photos. Most importantly, what we have is a full auditability for our product in all the screens, where you have a live audit, and this goes to our KPI reporting with our Power BI as well. We have a freight screen where we can see the SSEC labels and length, height, volume, and consignment notes and the manifest. There's a lot of information on this one, and we find that our warehouse operations users use this. And then we have a customer service portal that actually gives a bit more detail for the customer service team. Run management or route management allows users to, after they've picked and packed the goods, they can be assigned to a run. So once they're assigned to a run, such as north, east, south, or 1, 2, 3, we can then assign that, and then we go into our next screen, which is what we call load truck. Route planning allows us to do the shortest route or the most efficient route. We can use Bing Maps and Google Maps for this. We have a number of requirements here where we can pass certain data such as load, such as weight, such as truck height, which comes up quite often, where the most efficient route will be completed by Bing Maps or Google Maps, and then send that back to us. Load truck gives us the ability to load the goods onto the run. So here's 2 deliveries. We need to load this on run 2 or run east, and it's the second cycle, meaning that it's the second drop off going out for that day. And we can do this where we're scanning the products or the pallet barcodes. We can scan the deliveries, and we have an audit again. So everything will have an audit through our solution. And the manifest will go to the driver. They can scan that QR barcode to go and capture the proof of delivery. We have load planning, and this is where we'll focus some of the webinar today, where here's our load. It's going to go onto the truck, and we need to efficiently load it. And that could be reverse loaded, so we've got the first drop off for the day. And also we need to take into other considerations where the weight is and things like that on the truck. This goes to containers as well. So if we're loading a container, exporting a container, we can do it as well for the most efficient way. Proof of delivery will give us the ability to capture signatures, photos, and for the driver to go onto the road, drop off the right goods to the right customer. So we allow scanning here as well. So you can scan the pallets or the cartons or the SSEC labels, and making sure that we've got the right goods to the right customer. Customer portal is now giving our customer service team of our customers a real window to what's happening out there on the warehouse, where orders are up to, whether they're being picked, whether they've been completed, what status there is, And it also goes a bit further now with ship details, where we can see consignment numbers, we can see which carrier, when it was manifested, what SSC labels or cartons or pallets went out on that, and what their length is height. And then we've also got POD review, where we've got our own proof of delivery solution sending back the signature and photos. And we've also got the third parties such as FedEx, UPS, DHL, Australia Post, Star Trek. We can go and capture their status and send it back to our solution, which gives everyone an up-to-date live source of what's actually happening there on the road with the consignments. We have a sophisticated API, a REST API, that allows integration, which we call into the multi-cloud world. So if we're doing an integration with EDI, perhaps some freight solutions as well, then we will use our API for this. And then we've used it for manufacturing environment, which is maybe grabbing data from a manufacturing solution, and they'll pass us the information through our API. And this is where our solution starts as is more sophisticated than a number of other solutions on the market due to our API. And we've got a 3D digital twin. If I want to look at in the 3D side of things, where things are up to, what the empty pallets are, perhaps the category of products such as fast moving or slow moving. Perhaps I'm looking at products that are no longer purchasable. I'm not going to purchase that product anymore. This is a way to give you a much better visual reporting tool rather than just using the 2D side. Find us on our website, email us at sales@RickGroup. Always visit our YouTube channel. We always keep that up to date. And I'm now going to pass it to Debraj, who's going to take you through the webinar of our TBO4 solution with Acumatica. And what we'll do now is start the process of our WMS.
Hi, thanks Paul. So today I'm going to show you TBO4. So as you can see in my screen here, this is TBO4. It's running on a web browser. So basically you can see this is the URL that the TBO4 uses to access that home screen, and then you can see every user will get its own individual login. We use employee barcodes for logins as well. So basically if you have an employee barcode such as a 2D barcode, you can scan that barcode and then you can sign in, or otherwise you can just use your username and password and sign in to TBO4. So this is the WMS. The software is called TBO4, and this is like the home page screen of TBO4. Few things to note here in the screen is the menu options at the top. You can click on the menu options to expand the modules under it, or there are like favorite icons we can set up in our WMS so that the user can have easy accessibility while they are accessing any modules, instead of going and clicking those modules as well. So first things first, what we will do, we will be doing purchase order receiving, and then create a kit while receiving, which is like a license plating, and then put away that kit using that license plating method. So for starters, what I'm going to show you is in Acumatica, that the purchase order that I've created, and I will use this purchase order to receive the goods in TBO4. So let me bring up the purchase order. So in Acumatica, you can see this is the purchase order I've created, ending in 301. There are 2 items inside the purchase order. So once you have created the purchase order with the respective details in there, you can go back to TBO4 and access the goods receipt and receiving module, or click the receiving from here. So once you're on the receiving screen, what you can do is basically you can search for that particular purchase order number, or you can click on like show all, which will bring up all the listed purchase order. So I can type in 301, for example. I know the last 3 digits of that purchase order, and it should bring me up the purchase order number. So you can see when I typed in 301, it brought up all the details, the supplier name, supplier code for that purchase order, and I can dive into the purchase order by clicking on the document number, and then it brings me the lines. So this is basically the place where the user will scan their barcodes and then receive the goods in. The barcodes that I'm going to scan is something like this. Let me show you this. So these are the barcodes that I've prepared for today. For the demo today, you can see there have been locations, item barcodes. So I'm going to scan them on the screen and show you how the feedback is in TBO4 right now. So yeah, let's run through that. But before I scan a barcode, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a kit, which is a license plate while receiving. So you need to tell the system that I need a kit. So you can click this button called create new kit here, and there is an active kit or a license plate gets generated with this number. This number can be anything depending on the user requirements. So once the kit is created, you scan an item barcode. So let me show you how the scanning looks like. When I scan something, you can see the scan is the feedback coming up on the screen with the success banner at the top. The received quantity changes to 1. If I scan multiple times, it goes and increments the received quantity one by one. So now, as you can see here, I've scanned in three times basically. So I can scan in like multiple times to then increment my quantity to 5 if needed. So yeah, you can see there are color codings in the lines as well. There is a live audit grid. I believe Paul has stated before, there is live auditing in every screens of the WMS. So you can see I've changed my received quantity by scanning those item barcodes multiple times, and the received quantity is incremented. Sometimes there can be a scenario where the barcodes are broken, you can't scan. There is always option in the WMS to then dive into the item, and then you can then type in the quantities for the item. The few thing to note here is when I dive into the item, the system is smart enough to identify if it's a regular stock product, batch track product, or a serial product. In this case, you can see this is a batch track product. The system has identified it's a batch track. So it's asking you for a batch serial code while receiving. If you have the barcodes, you can scan your batch serial code and the quantity will be populated based on the GS1 barcode you have. And if you don't have that GS1 barcode, you can obviously type in what you want to. For example, I type in test TRG01 in this case, which I'm going to receive this batch of 10. I just put in like an expiry date and click on add. Cool. So now once you have received this batch, which is test TRG01, you can see what I've done in the audit grid. I have received 2 of these batches. So what I need to do is basically I have received it in, I have put it in this kit. So I need to print a kit label. So I go to the print label screen, and then you can see the respective kits coming up. You can see the printing options coming up. You can choose your templates and printers and then print it to the printer. So once I print it to a printer, the label template looks like is similar to this. As you can see, I've sent it to this printer. So the kit that's printed out is with this particular code and with this particular barcode. So once it's printed, you can stick it to your pallet. And then what you can do here, you can go to goods receipt and put away. And then I will use the put away function to put away that kit pallet into a bin location. So as you can see, the system is again smart enough to identify that you have received for the supplier. So it comes up as that option automatically so that the user doesn't have to scroll along with the list. But again, moving on, you can click on the document number, and then I'm going to show you that I'm going to scan the bin location, and I'll put that kit away in that particular bin location using the put away function. So anyways, I'm going to scan a bin location right now. So once I scan a bin location, you can see the feedback that's coming up on the screen. There's a success, the bin code gets activated here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan that kit away, and it will bring up that screen in TBO4 as well. So now I'm going to scan the kit. So once I scan the kit here, you can see there's a success banner displayed at the top. If I see the audit will give you an idea of what I'm doing. So basically I have scanned the bin, which comes up here, and scanned the kit away. So whatever was in the kit that you received in, it got allocated in this bin location as well. So at the end, what you want to do, you want to complete the transaction. It goes away from TBO4, and in a few seconds, it will go back and update Acumatica with the required quantities that is received as well. The other part which I'm going to show you in the meantime, before I go back to Acumatica to show you the receipt that is created, I wanted to show you the stock lookup function that we have in WMS. So now you have received and made a kit, right, with that quantities that you have received in and put it in the kit. So when you scan the kit in the stock lookup, you can have an idea of what are the items is there in that kit. So you can see I've scanned the kit, and basically on scanning the kit, I can see I've received these 2 quantities of 5 and 10 with a batch serial of this. The taken is 0 because nothing has been taken. It's all in the available state because you've just received and put away the goods. So yeah, this gives you an idea of where the kit is present in which bin location. The other part is basically if I check Acumatica right now. So yeah, if I check this and refresh the screen, just hang on for a moment. So yeah, if I go to purchases, go to purchase orders, and open up the purchase order in Acumatica, which is the last one that I've received in. Just wanted to show you the PO history. You can see in the PO history the receipt gets created. If you open the receipt, then you can see the respective details in the receipt as well, which will be the items that we have received in. So once it loads, so you can see these are the 2 items that I've received in, and this is the bin locations that I've received in with the quantities 5 and 10 as well. And also you can dive into the line details to see what are the batches been received in and what bin location it has been put to. So yeah, this is an end-to-end integration of the receiving and the purchasing module where you have seen that you can create kits while receiving, and then you can put away the kits instead of putting away each individual items as well. So yeah, the next bit that I'm going to run through is the movement of the kit from one bin location to another bin location, which is basically a transfer. So the transfer is pretty much similar to going to inventory module and clicking on create new stock transfer, which opens up the stock transfer screen in TBO4. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to scan the kit. So once I scan the kit, so you can see here, scan the kit has come up with this particular item. It has selected this particular batch serial, which is there in the kit. The other one didn't have quantity on hand, so the system gave an error saying the other quantity doesn't have a quantity on hand at that point in time. And then what you can do, you can then scan the 2 bin location where you're putting away the kit to. So basically what I'm going to show you is scan the kit to this particular bin location, a different one from what is there. So I'm going to scan the 2 bin in here. So once I scan the 2 bin, you can see here that the 2 bin comes up with this particular scenario where you can see basically when I'm scanning the 2 bin, it comes up saying that the item has been put away in this bin, and I'll scan the kit again to then select it in the stock transfer function. The system knows that I'm putting away the kit, so I just scan the kit again and it comes up with this particular 2 bin as well when I scan the kit back again. So once you are satisfied that you are moving away kits from one bin location to another, you can just hit confirm, and this will confirm the transfer in TBO4 as well. So yeah, once the transfer is done, so you can again use the stock lookup function to scan the kit. So once I scan the kit again, so you can see here what has been done. So basically you have then moved the kit from one bin location to another bin location, and then you can see what other quantities available in this kit as well. So in Acumatica, if you check the transfer document, so if I go to inventory and go something like transfers, if I open this transfer, so you can see that I have transferred this item using the kit, and the 5 is present in this bin location, in this particular bin location for this particular item. So you can see this in end-to-end integration. When you complete a transfer using kits in TBO4, then you can see basically it reflects back to Acumatica as well. So this is like the movement of the kits. Now what we are going to run through is the sales order dispatching side of things, the sales order or the shipment basically. So if I go to shipments, let me show you the shipment that I'll be dispatching using TBO4. It is ending in 065. So if I open up the shipment, you can see there are 2 items in the shipment here. So once you have these items in the shipment, what you can do is basically you can go to TBO4. So once the sales order is created, what you can do is using the pick pack manager function. You go to pick pack manager and then search for all the open orders. So once you click search, it will list all the open shipments that has been created in Acumatica. You can use the date filters here to filter out which shipment you want. So once you have the shipment loaded up here, you can select that shipment and then hit the release by doc button. So the release by doc will then release the system from the pick pack manager in our WMS, and it will be sitting in the picking screen. So if you go to sales and picking module, you can see here the pick ID is 45. The number of lines in the shipment is 2. There are customer details displayed here, and you can have different data displayed here depending on the requirements you have as per business. You can assign users to a pick. You can assign priorities to the pick as well using the screen as well. Other than that, you can dive into the pick to see what are the lines inside the pick as well. So you can see here there are 2 lines inside the pick, which is for this particular shipment. So what I'm going to do is basically the scenario that I'm going to run through is basically I'll scan the kit and then I'm going to close the box, and the box will generate me a shipment kind of an SSCC label, which will be used for a reference to ship those goods out. So now if I scan something, so if I scan, you can see there is a success. So just wanted to show you what I scanned. If you expand the audit, you can see I've scanned the kit. So the kit had this particular item, as you can see, because I have been transferred the kit from this bin location, which I've shown you in the transfer. So once I scan the kit, so it has already taken this item, and then you can see the remaining one didn't get selected because it was not there in the sales order. So basically if you scan a kit, if it's in the sales order, it will take the item from that kit as well. At any point in time, if you want to receive the next lot of item, you can scan the next item, or you can obviously drill down into the item to go into the item drill down screen, and then you can basically go and choose any bin locations you want to pick the item from, and then click on the quantity, type in the quantity and click on add in this as well. So now once I have added in, so basically if you check the audit, I have done this following operation. So what I have done, I've taken out one item from a kit, put it in a pallet, and I've then taken the second item from a bin location maybe, and then I've put it in a pallet. So what I'm trying to do, my pallet is full or my box is full, so I want to close that box or pallet. So I just need to tell the system to close my pallet or box, so I hit the close box button. So close box button, as you can see, there are package. When I hit the close box button, there is something getting populated in the pack ID and the package label section. So you can see it gets a unique ID and then package label number. From there, you can identify what goes into what pallet or box. So once that is done, you can then print the label for that box or pallet. You can go to the print label screen. You can see the SSCC, which is the unique number, gets assigned to the pallet or a carton. And then you can see there are preset dimensions that you can set using the WMS, the pack types basically. If carton, you can see the dimension changes. If pallet, you can see the dimension changes here again. So basically if I choose carton, and then if I want to print my labels, I can choose my template and hit print to the respective printer I want to print to. So once it prints, you can then stick it to your pallet or carton box. So a sample label that I'm going to show you is this. So this is like a sample label we have. You have the SSCC number, you can have items, you can have customer details, you can have sales order number. You can stick this to your pallet so that the warehouse people can easily identify which goods are going in which pallet or box. So now once you have printed your pallet label, you can go back, and then what you can do is basically complete the transaction. Once you hit complete, clicks on OK, and the pick complete banner is displayed at the top, and in a few seconds it will go back and update Acumatica and take out the items from the inventory. So now if I show you the stock lookup function again, I want to show you the movement of the kit from the different stages. If I scan the kit in here, so what do you notice here? You notice here these are the two items. So now when I scan the kit in picking, since the sales order had this item, so the kit was smart enough to identify, let's take this item. So it has taken 5. You can see the taken is 5. So the available is now 0 for this item because we have already sold it. But for the second item, since it was not there in the sales order, this kit didn't take it out. It's still sitting on that kit. So what you can do is use that kit maybe in another sales order, having this particular second lot of item, and the kit will take away the item as well. So this is how you manage kitting in our WMS. So you can receive and put away kits, you can transfer kits from one bin location to another. It will identify if the quantity is on hand at that point in time. If it's not, then it will not do the transfer. And in the picking side of things, you can then scan the kit to then dispatch goods from your kit as well. So this is how you manage kitting or license plating in our WMS side of things. So yes, if I go to the home screen of TBO4, so now the scenario that I'm going to run through is the dispatching side of things. So what I'm going to show you first is the freight integration, which is like a third-party freight providers we have integrated with. So basically you have wrapped your goods in a pallet and it is ready to be shipped out. So in our WMS, you can use the disconnected freight module to then see what are the orders you need to ship out. So you can see here in the disconnected freight module is something like the sales order that I've completed comes through in here. And the pick ID is 45. You can have respective customer details and lots of information displayed on the screen as well. Before moving ahead into disconnected freight, let me show you the Acumatica side of things. And if I refresh the screen, you can see here in the shipment. So basically the shipment will be confirmed once it's completed from TBO4. You can have the pick status as pick complete from TBO4 as well. And in the details tab, you can have what are the quantities that we have picked from TBO4. The last thing which I wanted to show you is the packages tab. In the packages tab, whatever SSCCs you generate or the box you generate, it gets sent back to Acumatica with the item that are inside those packages as well. So this is again the end-to-end integration of the sales order picking side of things. Moving back into the disconnected freight phase, which is the shipping stage. So now what you can do is you can open up the order that you need to ship out. Few things to note here is basically you can then see the SSCCs that you have been generated in picking for this particular order comes through in here. The dimensions come through in here as well. The next thing that I'm going to show you is the get freight quote button. So this button is basically going to fetch the cheapest quote from that freight provider depending on the dimensions and the addresses. So this will call the API, tap into the API of the third-party service provider, and it will list me the cheapest quote. Or other than that, if you don't want the cheapest quote, if you want to ship it from any of the carriers you want to, you can choose any of the carriers, and then what you can do is select what you're printing, The print and the print freight labels are the same, which will then in the disconnected freight stage will then notify the freight provider that a consignment has been created and the freight labels has been printed, so it's ready now for pickup. So once I hit print or print freight labels, you can see there is a label sent to printer. So the freight labels are printed at this time, and you can see here the consignment was created as well. So let me show you an example of a label we have for the freight side of things when we print from TBO4. So let me bring that up on the screen right now. So this is something we have printed for like a Star Trek Express. We do integrate with multiple freight providers in Australia here. So basically you can see here all the details get sent to Star Trek based on that label as well. At the end of the day, you can then complete. Once it has been shipped out, it will then take out from the screen in TBO4. And then what happens is basically it will print a report depending on if you want to print a report from TBO4 and then update the transaction as well. So anyways, this is like the shipment stage, the disconnected freight stage in TBO4. So now I'm going to run through the TMS side of things, which is managing your own local trucks and deliveries using the WMS. So this is like an additional feature in the WMS we have. So if you go to deliveries and something like run management. So this is the place where you can manage your runs, you can manage your cycles, and you can manage your times that the runs goes out or the deliveries or the shipments goes out. So first things first, with the due date selected, you can search for what are the shipments that are completed for that particular day. So as you can see here, this is the shipment that I completed today, as I've shown you from the picking stage to the disconnected freight stage. But this is something that if you don't want to do the disconnected freight stage, this is something from a local truck point of view. If you are managing your runs, shipment comes up here. You can then assign the shipment a run, select the line, and then assign to selected lines. You can see the run gets selected. You can then assign cycles to the run as well, as to what cycle the drop-off is being delivered to. So I can select cycle 1, it's being delivered, and I can also assign time to my deliveries as well. So now if I assign to selected lines, so now as you can see here, I've assigned the time as well. So everything got assigned here, the time, the run, and the cycle. And then there can be multiple shipments here where you can do your assigning and manage your runs. And at the end, you can print the manifest from TBO4. So manifest will then generate like a report in TBO4 so that you can hand over this report to the driver so they actually know what they are dropping off based on the customer details, the shipments, and the QR barcode is a really good help, because with the QR barcodes, they can then scan it in the load truck and the POD function, which I'm going to show you now. So yeah, so once the runs are managed, the next thing is the load truck functionality. So once you click on load truck, you can then select the run that you have set up in the run management. And then if you click select, you can see the runs that are coming up here as well. So now once you have the runs selected here, so basically you can see the shipment, you can see there is no load quantity because you have not loaded anything in the truck. Few things to note here is basically you can see there are two buttons, send cargo details and retrieve cargo report. So if you want to plan your load based on what needs to be loaded, like a kind of a heavy load or light load, then there is an integration we do, which is like the 3D modeling of the load planning. So you just click on the send cargo details here, and it will then open up the API for the 3D cargo, which will then show you where you are loading your goods to. Maybe it's a truck, maybe it's a container, or maybe it's a taut liner, depending on what you want. You can then plan your load from the screen as well. So just let it load. It's loading for the first time, so it's taking time, but it caches it in the browser, so once it loads, it's pretty fast every time the next time you load as well. So as you can see here, you can move around this modeling. So there are lots of options on the right hand side. You can load it on a truck. You can have your truck displayed here. You can have different kinds of standard trucks displayed here. A lorry basically. You can then have a container of a size different. You can have a big container as well. As you can see, if I click on these options on the right, I can scroll down to have a taut liner. You can see different options are available for you to play around to see what you are loading in which truck measurements. So this API is pretty useful in doing that. So once, for example, I've chosen this container and I want to plan my load because this is the particular load that I'm loading. So as you can see, this is a shipment. TBO4 sends the data in this particular easy cargo. So then you can see what is the box that are available, or what are the SSTCs, or how many boxes you have generated from the picking stage comes through in the load truck stage as well. So now you can see the box reference is 1, which ties back to what is the box was being generated from TBO4, and it also tells you what shipment it belongs to. So then if I hit load, then you can see it's smart enough to load it on this particular container. If you have multiple boxes, and then the multiple boxes will come up as a drop down here, and then if you hit load, then it will plan your multiple boxes in the most effective way of how you want to load it. Once you have done this, you can then share the public link. It will then copy a link and send it back to TBO4, from where you can then retrieve the report from TBO4 as well. So it's sending images to the server. You then copy it to clipboard, and then you can see here it's been sent back to TBO4. And if I go back to our WMS and retrieve the cargo report that was being sent from the Easy Cargo, it just then loads the report for me. So you can then give this to your drivers to see what they are loading, and they can see what they are visually loading in the truck as well, and they can play around and load it in a more effective manner. So now you can see I've loaded this one into the truck, basically using the 3D load planner. So you can give this to the driver, and then basically they can scan the shipment. So I'm going to scan a shipment barcode. As you can see, the barcode that I'm going to scan is this. So let me show you how it works. So when I scan this particular shipment, you can see the success comes up at the top, the load quantity changes to 1. So now visually you can see that you have loaded this into the truck, and then at the end, based on the report that we have sent, and you can complete the transaction from here as well. We can then print the report to be given to the manager or any warehouse operation person, so that they can see what they have loaded into the truck. So now once the truck is loaded, and let's run through a scenario that the driver has arrived at the customer site and they are going to then deliver the goods. Then what you can do here, using the deliveries function and the POD dispatch function, you can then scan the goods that you're delivering, and then click photos and also do signatures as well. So this is the POD dispatch. When I scan a shipment here, so you can see when I scan a shipment, it comes up with a particular customer that I'm doing the drop-offs to. You can add multiple shipments if it's belong to the same customer, and then click add documents, which will show you the lines, the items that you are really delivering. So then what you can do, you can either scan the items, you can hit deliver all, which then populates the quantities, and then you can then mention how many cartons you are delivering. For example, in this case is 1. I can type my name here as well. I can sign in the screen as well. And the last bit is I can attach photos or click photos using the devices that I'll be using. In this case, I'll be using something like this, or a photo. It's a reference photo. As you can see here, the maximum number of photos that we can capture using the WMS is 30. And then at the end, you can hit save. So once you hit save, success comes up at the top. So now if I'm going to search for the shipment, you can do from the deliveries and POD review to see if the shipment was correctly delivered or not to the customer. You can then obviously search it from the POD report as well. So now if I hit search, you can see there's a signature photo and a report coming up. So basically that confirms me that the POD has a signature, the POD has a photo, and the POD has a report as well. So the report is just like the PDF report, which can be sent to any printers, or you can open it up on a browser to then send it to your required printers. So the report will have the items that has been delivered, it will have the signature captured, it will have the coordinates as well, depending on the configuration we set, and it will have the number of cartons and signed by whom as well. So yeah, that's pretty much TBO4 WMS and WMS functions with the TMS functions as well. So what I'm going to show right now is something like we have added in a new solution called like a customer portal, which is very famous among the customers right now. So let me load up the screen for you. So this is like the customer portal. So every customer service team finds it very helpful to use this kind of that portal to understand where the order is at in the warehouse. So you can see customer portal will have similar individual logins as well. You can set it by customers, you can set it for sales user, which can see all the customers. So you can then log into our customer portal. So yes, once the customer portal loads, you can see here the different orders that come up. So now in these orders, you can see there are few of the columns at the top which are partially picked orders. What are the picked orders? What are the disconnected freight, which are like the shipment to be shipment ready orders? What are the completed orders? So there are different statuses. You can filter out the statuses from here as well, depending on what you want. So if you want to see what are the picked orders, if a customer calls you, where is my order at, you can tell them, okay, this is my order. You can search by PO numbers, you can search by doc numbers, and then see what are the statuses of the order in the warehouse as well. So if I go to my release state, if I want to check what are the items inside the order, I can click on the doc num and it will bring up my item inside the order as well. So if I check like a partially picked orders, it will tell me what are the items that are partially picked for the orders as well. And then if I wanted to see what are my picked orders, if I go into an order, it will tell me what are the items picked for the orders as well. What is the pick quantity, what are the quantities, so you can see every details from the WMS being sent to the customer portal as well. So the other tab which I'm going to run through today is the ship details tab. The ship details is something that stores the data of the orders that has been shipped out and has a consignment. So if I dive into an order, you can see the respective details for this order. It has got like 2 SSCCs, like 2 boxes in there, or 2 pallets maybe. In this case, it's got a consignment number and what is the freight carrier and what is the manifest date as well. So the ship details tab will give you an idea of the orders that has been shipped out using our WMS and what are the dimensions that we have sent to the freight providers with the consignment number as well. The third tab is the POD review. The POD review will give me an idea of what are the proof of deliveries done from our system. And also we have tapped recently into the freight providers as well to get the live status of what is the POD state. So now in this case, you can see here, these are all the PODs done from our TBO4, gets feedback into the customer portal as well. So the customer service team can actually use this to see if the goods are delivered. And also, as said before, you can access the signature files, the photo files, as well as the report files from here as well, from the customer portal, so that the customer service team knows exactly what the drivers are delivering and they can have an end-to-end vision of what comes up when a customer calls as well. So yeah, this is pretty much the customer portal side of things. So we have run through the TBO4 WMS, TMS, and the additional solution is the customer portal. So the last bit is the integration. Recently we did another solution we added to TBO4 was the solution called the 3D reporting. So as you can see, once the 3D reporting comes up, let me just run through a quick video that we have. So this is like the 3D reporting tool of your warehouse, where you can then filter out what are the fast moving bins and slow moving bins, and then you can see what bins are empty in your warehouse. So basically it gives you an idea of how your warehouse looks like. As Paul has said before, it's a visual representation tool which gives you a nice feel of how you can manage your spaces effectively in your warehouse, and what you can identify which are your fast moving bins and slow moving bins as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you for listening to me and Paul as well. So let me know what's the feedback regarding this. Thank you again. Bye.